Hey guys, so you don't have enough time in the day. So we get this a lot. I don't have time, I'm busy, I'm stressed, I've got too much going on. What you really mean when you say you don't have enough time is that you have other things that are a bigger priority that need your attention at the moment. If you want something to be a priority, you make time for it at the expense of something that you deem to be not as important. So before we go any further, dealing with a job that you hate isn't the topic of today's conversation, but we've had a lot of heart to hearts with people over the years. People in situations with work or life that take up so much of their time and energy that it distracts from things that the person actually values or enjoys. For instance, if somebody has to work a ton of hours to pay their bills at home at a job they don't particularly like, or if somebody's going to school and having such a workload that it distracts away from the things they really enjoy in life, hopefully, that's just a means to an end. Assuming the direction you're headed in life is currently what it is you truly want to do, just take some time to pause and reflect on where you want to be. Where are you at now? What's in the way? What are the resources that you need to get you there? And do you have those resources? And what does that look like? What is the step-by-step process to get you there? Then start moving in small steps in that direction. But let's go ahead and head back to the topic. So, time poverty. Why are people running out of time? People run out of time nowadays because maybe they're multitasking too much or they're easily distracted. You may underestimate the time needed to perform a task. They say yes to too many things. You may not have a routine or any rhythm to your day. You may not even be aware of what you do in a day, and you're not even auditing your time at all. You also may be spending more time doing tasks that are not in alignment with your true values or what it is you actually need to get done. So, a lot of people also don't zoom out and look at the big picture enough when they're getting things done. So, there are a lot of ways to get things done. This is a method that works well for me. Give me some feedback on how well it works for you, or you can drop me an email and let me know if you have any questions. So, I've been using it for a while. It's called time blocking. It's a really simple concept. Just like anything, it does take practice and refinement. Okay? A little bit of customization depending on what your lifestyle looks like. Now, a little overview is that this is not a task list, a line item list that you'll just work through. You'll set aside priority windows for each day. You theme these days by categories so that you avoid this cognitive switching from task to task. I'll break this down in a moment. Now, instead of doing things when you get the chance and being more kind of reactionary to it, you need to be proactive and plan out your week. Spend some time sharpening the axe instead of swinging around a dull axe and never getting anything done. So how do you implement this? One, audit your tasks. Be aware of what you do. List everything you do in a week, couple weeks, a month, depending on how your schedule works, as well as all the tasks you need to do to be successful in what it is that you do. Sort those tasks, part two, by daily, weekly, monthly. So you may have recurring tasks, you may have things that you need to get done that are just kind of the same concepts from week to week. So we need to figure out which ones are daily, weekly, or monthly. So put on there how much time you estimate it will take. For a beginner, if you have the luxury, whatever you think it's going to take to start off, double it if you can, and then you can move those windows down and add more things in as you go. Part four, put those things into themed buckets. So you'll start to learn what themes that you normally have that don't involve you switching your mindset. And I'll show you again in just a moment. So put them into theme buckets. You can use an app for this, like reminders on the iPhone, as well as I use an app called OmniFocus. And if you notice that new tasks start to creep in that you can't categorize, you'll have to start new buckets and figure that out. But then you'll organize those buckets. You want to get into deep work, stuff that makes sure you're not switching from task to task to task. You want to stay in the same concept and make sure that your work window is uninterrupted in a place you can find your flow at. Remove yourself from your environment, no distractions, social media. You need to be setting some time aside, uninterrupted, if it's important to you. So, if something else pops up to distract you, is this something that really needs to get done right now? Does it really? Then yes, schedule it and move things around. If not, send it to your bucket. You can organize that when that time comes around, and then it'll be there when it's time to perform that day's theme. So if you're like, I don't have enough time to actually get this stuff done, you either need to expand your work window or create a second window. You need to audit your tasks and decide what can be pushed off until later, possibly. Or you need to reprioritize and figure out what you need to say no to. So at the end of the week, again, you want to be reactive. Don't be reactive, sorry. You want to be proactive, okay? You need some time each week to work on the next week. Spend some time really planning out each day and how it will flow from one thing to another when it comes to your tasks. So I'll show you a little bit of an example here. So this is a rough example of, kind of what mine looks like. At the top, you'll notice Mondays and Tuesdays are generally meetings. Wednesdays and Thursdays are for creative projects. Fridays and Sundays, I do program design. I'll have a little flex time. Now, that isn't taking into account, I do have to cognitively switch. I do have to coach, all the coaching sections in blue. Every morning, I go through and I answer all of the messages that I need to, so that happens as well too. But you'll notice these huge sections that are all yellow in meetings, all purple in projects. Projects again, and I try and keep these days so that I have my mindset kind of together through these days. There's some one-off things, but then you need to practice actually being able to effectively cognitively switch. I know going from studying into creating projects works really well for me. Doing all of my analytical stuff early in the week when I've got a lot of energy works well for me. So this is kind of, like I said, generally what a week looks like. So with that being said, my schedule is a good example of some necessary cognitive switching if you're appointment based. Okay, you do have to set some boundaries. So, for instance, I block out my next week on a Thursday, which means if somebody comes to me and they need a meeting, this week, I may have to tell them no. I may have to tell them, hey, I schedule out 10 days out. And that's something that you need to learn your boundaries and who you can set boundaries with and work around that. And I think it makes things a lot easier. Okay. Also, there's a general theme to these days as well too. And you'll notice your own theme the more you play with that as well too. So if you finish yours early, then you can adjust. You can add in more work if you really need to, or you can add in flex time. I usually just will pause and kind of meditate and calm down for a little bit. But yeah, so hopefully this helps. If you have questions, please let me know. Post a comment, send us a message, and we'll help you out in kind of understanding the way your week works.